Good day, everyone. My name is Jerry Haynes, and I'm representing Group C. Our presentation today will be on multicultural communication. Additional group members include Jessica Cook, Emily Amon Jensen, and Christina Weiss. Firstly, what is multicultural communication? Multicultural communication includes a willingness to learn about new cultures. It necessitates a willingness to learn about new cultures. It necessitates an understanding of views of other cultures, or at least the willingness to acquire views on other cultures. And it necessitates the ability to form and improve relationships with members of another culture. Why then is multicultural communication important? Firstly, it provides a better understanding of other cultures. Secondly, it may help you to discover similarities between other cultures and your own. And lastly, it allows us to accept other cultures' differences. There are many problems inherent to multicultural communication, namely that people are ignorant of other cultures and make no attempt to communicate with people of other cultures. And these people typically have an ill-informed, incorrect view of others outside their own culture. The more people do not venture outside their own culture and their comfort zone, the more misconceptions between cultures will continue to grow, and the harder communication between the two cultures will be. It is evident through media that poor multicultural communication is commonplace, the norm in our society and societies around the world. People have lost jobs, been denied entry into other countries, and have even lost their homes based upon a perceived threat or fear of their culture. For example, a recently fired worker from a Whole Foods supermarket chain has claimed that he was let go because he was a Muslim, and that the manager, for whatever reason, felt it necessary to relieve him of his duties due to a perceived threat or fear of his particular religion. Glenn Mack Jr. makes this claim, although Whole Foods contends that he was let go due to absenteeism. Additionally, the Jakarta Globe reports that a 60-year-old Filipino man was recently denied entry to the city of Hong Kong for an undisclosed reason. Racial discrimination on the streets, to quote the article, is one thing. Having that infect official discharge of duty by uniformed services raises serious questions about where Hong Kong is headed as a society. Is this an example of poor multicultural communication, or did Hong Kong officials have valid reason to deny the Filipino man entry into their city? The article does not state the conclusion or the answer to that question, but it does raise eyebrows. Within a given society, there may be several cultures, several self-identifying groups. Within the American society, we do have a culture known as LGBT, that is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. A recent survey of this community concludes that discrimination is widespread in the city of Anchorage, Alaska. Now, is this further evidence of multicultural miscommunication? What are the reasons driving this mistreatment of this particular community? A recent article out of The Telegraph, a newspaper in the UK, has shown that the one thing that may unite the world is in effect a dislike, or as the newspaper puts it, hatred of America. This is evidence that even entire nations can be hated because of poor multicultural communication now, or the blame lies for that either with the Americans or with the rest of the world. I will leave up to your judgment. But it is a very striking finding. So with that said, how do we stop the judgment of others and prevent miscommunication between cultures? We believe the solution is to accept that other cultures differ from ours. This is often very easily rationalized but difficult in practice. We must also open ourselves up to learning about other cultures and allowing others to learn about ours. In doing so, attempt to avoid the social taboos that may be present in a given culture. For example, I am reminded of my recent stay in Japan for several weeks, in which I and another Westerner attempted to pass food to one another using our chopsticks. A practice that is looked down upon in Japan and in Shinto culture in general. We do want to avoid these things at all costs, and again open ourselves to learning. So with this in mind, what action may we take to increase our level of multicultural communication? Well, one need make an effort to speak to someone outside your own culture, of course, and learn about their beliefs. Now, the degree of difficulty associated with this task will most likely vary from person to person. In many localities, one need only walk down to the corner store or down the street. In other communities, this may be a bit more of a task. But we must allow someone outside our culture into our life in some way, shape, or form. And when we do, we need to be patient, because there may be a language barrier, differences in beliefs, but it should not interfere with our ability to communicate and grow together. Now, of course, there will be counter-arguments made to this particular call to action. One, of course, being that people may say that other cultures are not willing to open themselves up to me. Well, you can combat this by opening up to them first. Perhaps they're not comfortable with speaking to you because of your misconceptions. As the slide says, take things slowly. Speak slowly to ensure their understanding. And when they see how you are open about yourself and your culture, they may begin to open up about theirs. And if they do not, they do not. Find another friend to make, as they say. Once someone does open up to you, please take turns speaking. In other words, take turns learning about each other's culture. And you may be surprised at what you find. Additionally, one may say that they may be prone to discovering elements of a different culture that they don't necessarily agree with. And to that, again, we must say you must agree to disagree. And try not to let someone else's beliefs deter you from breaking down walls of communication. Understand that what may work for you may not necessarily work for another, and vice versa. Be supportive and positive. If you do not agree with what they believe, you can walk away, avoid the topic. You can walk away, with a better understanding of why that is their belief, and make an informed decision on how you feel about it, and if need be, just avoid the topic altogether. So in conclusion, I would just like to restate that multicultural communication necessitates a willingness to learn about new cultures, to understand new cultures, and one must work to improve the relations between the cultures. And this takes a substantial amount of skill, but a skill that can be learned. Now, a problem exists that some make no attempt to communicate with other cultures, and due to this, misconceptions are allowed to grow or foment. Now, we have a solution to this problem, and that is merely to accept that other cultures will differ from our own. This is not a difficult concept. Of course, we have to realize that we are one of many cultures in the world, and that the other cultures have much to show us. That is, there's much we can learn by opening ourselves up to other cultures. To do this, we need only make an effort to learn about other cultures, to teach someone about our culture, and in doing so, to be patient and not to let differences get in the way of effective communication. Now, some may argue that other cultures are not willing to open themselves two new lines of communication, or that after communicating with someone of a different culture, that you may discover elements that you don't necessarily agree with. And I believe we've outlined an effective strategy to avoid the problems presented in this counter-argument. In conclusion, I would just like to thank you for listening to our presentation. I and my fellow group members hope that you have at least come away with a better understanding of A, what multicultural communication is, B, why it is important to your daily life, and hopefully this has motivated you to, moving forward, be more open to lines of communication with those of different cultures. Thank you very much.